All right, so we'll jump into it. Welcome to All Our Problems podcast, where business owners and others alike come in. They talk about all their problems as business owners, but mostly we just talk and hang out and have a great time. So you know me, I'm your host, Rachel. It's sponsored by Arnold's Candies, owned by me and this guy. You guys know him.
Griffin.
Yep, Griffin's here too. So we're going to jump into it. I'll let my guest introduce himself, give you a little bit about his business, and we'll go from there.
So I'm Aaron Scullion. I'm not sure where to look.
Oh, right there. That one's yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
I own Retroaholics. We're in the Belden Village Mall. Been in business about 3 years. We do video games, consoles, a little bit of sports cards, Pokemon cards, plushies, anything collectible that's vintage.
That's awesome. So do you just mostly like look for vintage, or you'll just kind of...
We do some newer stuff. We do everything up to like PS5, Xbox Series.
Yeah.
If we get it, we don't do like the pre-order like new stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the big releases.
If it comes in as a trade, we'll take it in. But other than that, we don't really do like the sealed, brand new anything.
That's cool. How'd you end up down that road?
I grew up in like the late Super Nintendo, early N64 era. So
yeah.
That was probably like the best time to get into it.
Yeah.
And
Griffey's a
full 64.
Right? Just hooked me from the beginning.
Oh, yeah. To this day, we've got 2 PlayStations up in our house. Like, if you saw our board game closet,
an N64. The only one I don't have is the Super Nintendo. I have an NES. I have the 64. I have, my brother has the old Sega Genesis. I have like probably every PlayStation, most Xbox and 12 of them all collected.
Every generation.
I just
can't.
I can't find a good Super Nintendo. So
if you got one,
do you do cartridges or do you do EverDrives?
We have the older cartridges.
Okay. So, have you ever heard of the EverDrives?
I've not.
So they're actually cartridges that take SD cards now.
Ooh.
So you can still have your whole collection, but you don't got to keep pulling it out of the case and you know what I mean, opening and closing the doors.
Because that thing is like I like stacking them, or they all look nice, and the only reason I don't play them as much because I don't want to keep putting them all back together every time. So I just I'm like, one day I'm gonna break you guys out again.
Yeah.
He needs like his own separate like shed or room or something for all his collectibles. Like you're definitely talking to the right guy here.
All the old WWE figures. All old like consoles,
collectibles for sure.
Yeah, the video games take up enough room. I can't even imagine like board games and everything else.
A lot of board games.
The whole basement is his in our house, and like not just in boxes, but like we have an actual cool little basement. It's got a cute little fireplace, and like he's got literally like a shrine of vintage things, like sports memorabilia. He's such a collector. I'm
just
like
all over the place.
Legos.
Yeah. We keep it down there though because like I am one of those people, I like to keep like very little clutter.
We also have a 2-year-old, so you got to keep it up.
Yeah.
And he doesn't go down there very often, so it's easy to like keep on. He goes down there. He have like the little tabletop Pac-Man machine. He goes, ooh, and just takes the joystick and moves it around. And you turn it on, he'll sit there for a half hour, 40 minutes, and sit there and just move. He obviously dies right away, but he just loves the noise of seeing like Pac-Man go around. Little ghost coming after him. He loves it.
My absolute
So I'm guessing you guys have some kind of like lock on that door.
No.
Because I have a 4-year-old and an almost 2-year-old. It'll be 2 in May, and he can open doors now.
I'll say,
and he will run downstairs all the time.
There's no door, but thankfully, it's kind of like a split. It's kind of like a split level, but not like the traditional split level where you kind of walk in like entryway. Then the basement goes down and upstairs, and he typically hangs out upstairs, and then like in his rooms.
He's got like a playroom up in the top floor.
Really go all the way downstairs unless
one of us down there.
So he's your only child?
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one's always the worst.
Yeah.
The second, the first.
Right now we got one so we can contain him.
My first one's decent. He likes to be the parent. To the 2-year-old.
Yeah.
But the 2-year-old, you take your eyes off him, he's just
tornado.
Gone instantly.
Yeah. Are your kids into the retro games yet, or?
Kinda. Not really.
Yeah. They don't understand the nostalgia behind it.
Yeah, they're not.
There's nothing.
I take them to the store and they don't really like geek out over it. They're just more like,
oh, we're at Dad's place.
Yeah, just being crazy.
At work now.
I gotta get them in and get them out so that way the customers aren't thinking someone's getting killed in the
Yep.
back or something. 'Cause he was screaming all the time.
We bring our son in, and he'll be like, we walk in through the retail shop normally, not through our employee's door. And so, like, he'll walk into the retail shop, and he immediately wants to go for the samples. He's like,
he reaches his little hand up and like starts grabbing out samples.
Bite. Like, he loves the peppermints and stuff. So our employees love when we bring him in because he's like a little celebrity to them. Like, because they knew me when I was pregnant. So now, like, you know, him being born and everything, they're just absolutely in love with him. So he's a little Mr. Popularity when we bring him into work with us. So, which is just the best. So this is your 3rd year in business at, is it always been at Belden Village?
It is not. So we
Okay.
started on Route 62
Okay.
near like that Walmart right there.
Mhm.
So we did 1 year there,
Mm-hmm.
and then after we moved out of there, the place in Acme was actually just, I mean, it was just dumb luck. So we were actually inside of a grocery store.
Yeah.
So we had no outside signage at all. It was just
You're just
like
there.
when you were in
People
the
in there
checkout
or
counter,
there, yeah.
you like, I mean, you just look forward, and we just had a
Yeah.
TV sitting there, so we were kind of like tucked away, but
That's got to be
just
kind
the
of cool,
traffic-
though.
yeah,
Yeah,
the traffic was super nice though.
Yeah, because then you just have people just in there walking by looking at your stuff, and they came there for grocery shopping.
Yeah,
They're already gonna
And
spend
when
money.
parents
they
want-
hated it though.
And when parents want
They'd be checking out, and then the kids would be
The
like,
kids are
yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah,
When the
right
parents
into
are
the
trying to
store
do
and they're
something
like-
else, the kids are like,
yeah,
go in there.
they can't even
Yeah.
tell them no. They're just like, just gone.
See, we're the parents. Like, if our son like picks something up off a shelf and he loves it, we're like, okay, you can get it. Like we.
Oh yeah,
we
the
are
4-year-old
so
is
bad about that. We're
yeah,
so
the 4-year-old does that all the time.
bad. Yeah.
Like in any time, like I mean, he's just a shopping maniac at this point. Like he'll be like, go shopping, and then he'll get there and he'll be like, toy. Like
Yeah.
doesn't care about nothing else.
Yeah.
Just
Give
go
me the
shopping
toy.
and then
Right.
get toy.
Yeah, I've got toys like hidden in my purse specifically for when we go out and about.
Right, here you
And
go,
he's
bud.
like, something's catching his eye. I'm like, what about this dinosaur pen? You want to hold this
He's
for
like,
a while?
"Ooh."
And then, yeah.
Yeah,
So he's still easily like distracted, I think.
redirect the attention.
But we'll get there one
the
day.
4-year-old, he's too smart.
So how did you end up at Belden Village now?
So I was on a list
Mm-hmm.
for a while. You know what I mean? Just like,
Like
if
a
something
waiting
opened
list?
up. Yeah.
I didn't know they had a waiting list, like
They
to
are
be able to get in
very
there.
yeah. So I mean, right now
Wow.
there's 2 locations because I was asking them about a second location in the mall, and
Oh, yeah.
they're already taken, I guess. So
That's
the Hall of Fame
crazy.
wants to take one spot. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're gonna do. The Football Hall of Fame, and then another one they have the Great Wolf Lodge Mall somewhere in Ohio.
Really?
But someone from there wants to open up a second location and go into the Belden Village.
For
So they have no vacancies. I'm not even sure what they do. But yeah, you know what I mean? They just told me they're like, both spots are already taken.
that's cool.
Just, I mean, there's never vacancies.
Wow. So it's good that you got in there.
Yes. And it was kind of perfect because it used to be Classic Plastics.
I was gonna say, I was like,
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
it was
before you
already
guys,
vintage
classic.
toys.
Yeah,
So the people cut, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So as soon as we moved in, they're like, oh, this isn't what it used to be, but it's still the same,
Same
type
thing,
of,
yeah.
the same
yeah.
demographic.
So they're like, if they're thinking, oh, I know there's a retro place at the mall,
Yep.
they come and at least you're still there, that's
yeah.
cool.
So we're different. I mean, we don't do like the toy stuff, but we're
Right.
still
Yeah.
vintage. So it's not, they're not like walking in and then be
Totally
like, oh,
off the
my
wall,
store's
yeah.
gone. What in the world?
Yeah.
right.
They adjust to
Still
it pretty
got
quick.
something to
Yeah.
look at. That's cool. So what's your future looking like? Like you want to stay at Belden Village for a while or?
As long as they'll keep me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so far we're sitting good. I mean, I've already signed the next year lease, but
That's awesome.
yeah, we'd like to do a second location at some point.
Mhm.
Just not sure where yet because
Yeah.
I'm from Minerva.
Okay.
So even Canton's like a good drive, you know what I
Right.
mean? And I try to
Oh, like you are still from Minerva?
yes. Yep, so I still
Oh.
live in Minerva.
Yeah,
That was a
drive.
deal breaker with the kids. They wanted to, you know what I mean, grew up in Minerva, want to keep the kids in Minerva, go to those schools.
That's fair. Yeah.
So, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, there wasn't
we lived like 5 minutes from Arnold's at our last house, and we actually decided to move further away because we got into a really bad habit of just not having a boundary of like
There's always
our employee
yeah,
would call
just
us up
go-
and say
yeah.
this machine's making a weird noise or the water smells a little odd or something, and so us being 5 minutes away, I'm like, I'll just be there in 5 minutes. I can get my own eyes on it. I'll know it's okay. And so like the delegation was not progressing at all when
Yeah.
we were trying to.
they weren't
and-
taking responsibility and becoming independent. They were
Yeah,
just-
yeah. So it was too much of like that happening. And so then we were like, we should kind of look for somewhere a little bit further away. And we found a place in Jackson Township. I absolutely love our house. Like, I think we just got so lucky finding our house when we did. And it was like, couldn't have been the worst timing. Like, we were going to Ireland and signed the papers right before we went to Ireland. Went to Ireland for like 9 or 10 days, came back home. Next week we had to move. Like, it was worst timing ever, but the house was everything we wanted it to be. Fun. Yeah, it was a grand time. And so we moved 30 minutes away, and I like moving further away just because it kind of helps us to keep the boundary there, because I'm sure you get how it is if something's going on or something goes wrong and you're like, I'll just go in, you know. The distance is kind of nice a little
It's like,
bit.
how urgent is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Before I drive 25 minutes,
they'll tell you
it's just like
urgent,
I'm like, but
everything.
I'm like, let's break this down real quick. Tell me exactly what's going on.
Yeah, everything's urgent to them. But then, you know, sometimes, which is what we want. But then, you know, at some point we had to be like, okay, you guys have to stop calling us. We have people, we have a chain of command for a reason. You know, you got to call them.
They got your phone number, and it's like, oh man, dang it. The employee got my phone number. Now they're using it all the time.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure like every single person we have has our phone number at this point.
Well,
like,
we only have.
We have like 10.
Yeah. Including us,
now.
There's 10 full time. So. It's not super big, but there's enough that we have Nicole that we were telling you about, and she's got like the call her, and then she has like she can be like, is this urgent, or I gotta call them, or is it like
she's a filter for us, so she
can she just handle
gets the information and she's like, okay, this is not something that Rachel and Griff need bothered with, or it's something where she's like, I can handle this, or I can tell them what to do or whatever. And she's been really great about like filtering things for us. Like we went to Vegas, and over the summer we had like a lot of trouble with the heat on those like 90-degree days, like super hot. Our building was built in 1953, and so like the electrical in there is old, and there was something on the street with the electric company that was,
they weren't giving us enough power to our facility, so we were like,
because the grid was struggling with the ACs for everybody running.
Fun.
And we have like old equipment in there. It's all old German equipment and machines and European and machines and stuff. And so like they're pulling a pretty decent amount of power. So I've got like 3 different energy bills for the building, and a lot of power's pulling in. And for some reason, it was like 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, like they would lose power if it was a super hot day, and it would be in the middle of the day, probably when everybody's ACs are running at max, and we would lose power. It would just shut down our whole grid. And it probably happened like 2 or 3 times when we were in Vegas. I didn't even know about it. And I called her, and she was like, yeah, so this is what I did. And I was like, you did exactly what I would have done. So like, you're doing great. Like, you didn't even bother me, and you did exactly what I would have done. And that was a big moment for me where I was like, I was so proud of her. She's doing great. So delegation is huge for me. I'm trying to learn how to do it. I'm sure you probably experience the same thing. Just being a business owner, it's hard to like hand over tasks. I always think, I'll do it best.
I'm real weird about hiring new people. You know what I mean? Because they're there by themselves all day. There's, you know what I mean, a retail store with cash coming in, cash going out. And I mean, we're like a small mom and pop, you know what I mean? So I'm still trying to learn the ropes of how it all works. So it's like, it takes a while to like trust somebody that I, you know, I mean, I count the register every time I come in. I'm always like checking on the back end, making sure everything's
matching up.
Yeah. So it takes a while to like trust somebody.
Yeah, I get that completely.
How did you kind of start Retroaholics? Like, did it?
Yeah, what was it born from?
Yeah, like,
so I've always had a collection. About 3.5 years ago, so I was a truck driver. So I drove truck over the road for about 2 years. Then I was trying to be home more, and then this was before the boys.
Yeah.
And
so was it like cross country that you were driving? Or?
It was regional, so it was like, you know what I mean, like 2 states away, 3 states.
Yeah.
But it was Monday through Friday, sleeping in the cab.
Yeah.
So then I started coming. So then I got a job up in Akron, where I was home every day, and then that's whenever I met the girlfriend, and then, you know what I mean, started settling down, and then I had a job at a Pilot over in Carrollton. I was hauling crude oil for the oil rigs.
Yeah. And
it was really good pay, but I was never home, worked 6 days a week. When I was home, I was tired on that 7th day.
Yeah.
And I just, saved up, and then I started selling online. Or I was always selling online a little bit, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
And then the girlfriend just told me, she's like,
Just
get this crap out of the house.
Oh
yeah, it wasn't even just
It
was just like get
this needs to leave.
Like you need to just start something and just like move this stuff out. So that like started the store. Plus I like
So
took
do
a
you
little
still
bit
have
of
a
that down.
collection or
A little bit of an
like
N64 collection.
Home. Yeah.
But I'm pretty good about the store is my collection type. You know what I mean? So it's like when I buy something, I'm not like
you get the
I
gratification.
gotta hold on to
of
this
it.
forever. It's
yeah.
like I put it into the store and then I'm good at like separating the whole.
That's good.
This needs to come home with me versus this can just go on the shelf and I can
Yeah.
look at it every day. And so I love having fantastic consoles at the store all the time.
Yeah.
Even if I pay like too much online for them to buy them off, because they never walk through the door. No one ever brings me N64 stuff ever.
Oh no, I was in there when we walked in yesterday. When we were going through, I saw the N64 you guys have that's like still in the original box, like in the plastic. I was like,
yeah.
All right. I was like, I have one, but I kind of really want that one because N64. So like you said, it's just so hard to get your hands on. I think me and my brother luckily both have one, and I think the different colored ones, different color controllers, and all of it is like so hard to get your hands on. Because I saw, even go back to the NES, like I saw you guys had like the Rob that's in there, and I was like,
we just got that in last week.
So
I was like, I mean, he's completely functional.
Right. I was like, do I want to spend, like, I was like, walk through the Grace, and he's like, grab himself off, and I'm like, I go back a second, I'm like, okay, if he's still here in a couple of days, I might have to come by him because I don't think I've ever seen him in a store.
Yeah.
Like, they're very hard to get, especially operating ones are very hard to get their hands on.
Yeah. So
where do you find like all the really rare stuff? Just online, just searching like nonstop.
So there's Facebook groups for it, and Ohio's actually huge for it.
Yeah,
yeah. There's a lot of Facebook groups.
I found the hard part when I was like kind of doing it as well is I think some people overprice a little bit on their collections because of their personal attachments and their nostalgia of it, and I'm like, I would love to, but they won't budge. I'm like, I would love to buy this, but it's not worth that.
Yeah. As much as I want it, my wife will kill me.
Yeah, which is worth, any type of business like that, though, I feel like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot you filter through, like, okay, this one's worth it, this one's not. So, I mean, that one, I mean, he already had a price chart of all of his stuff, the whole value, you know what I mean? So, I mean, and he went strictly off of those prices. So, you know what I mean? That's the main thing that he doesn't, you know what I mean? They don't stray from that. They're not like, oh, this one says, this one says $250, but it's really worth like $400. I'm like, no.
You're right, the price chart though
like,
says.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what I'm going off of when I sell it in store though.
Yeah.
So I try to always use price charting. So when I'm buying and selling, so that way it's all lining up.
Have you ever taken like a loss on something? Or are you like super good at it? You're like, I know what I'm doing.
I mean, we have. When something sits for a while.
And you're like, I just want it to move.
There was a Wii U. I'll never forget that. When we moved from Acme to the store, you know what I mean? You're packing everything up. And it was only like a 10-minute drive. Yeah. We were right there in North Canton.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to it, but something, you know what I mean? We got it. We moved to the store. And then someone bought it. And they're like, this thing doesn't work. I'm like, what? I'm like, we test everything. Like, we plugged it in. It wouldn't even power on.
No way.
So something happened from Acme to the new location, and I just had to I had to throw it out.
That's crazy.
So I mean, I don't know whatever happened to it.
Oh.
Something heavy must have sat on it. I don't know.
Just slowly,
or it just decided that was the end of the road.
Yeah,
said, I don't want to move.
Just committed suicide on me.
Yeah,
it decided
this is it for me. I quit. That's.
I'm sure there's other ones, but that's the one that. That's the one that got. I was just like, what in the world, like. You know, because there's always like games, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this one doesn't play that great because we test everything, but we don't go 5-10 minutes in.
Right.
So I mean, I've had plenty of Super Mario Galaxy for Wii. That one, I've had multiple copies where they get it, they go like into the intro play where you're running through and then you're going up like and it beams you up to space and then boom, right there, black screens.
Just cuts out right there.
Yeah, I mean the disc looks great. There's nothing, and then I try it and I'm like, yep, you're right. But you know what I mean. But I don't make it that far in though, and I'm like,
you're like new store rule when Super Mario Galaxy comes in.
Yeah, we're gonna go to
that point.
So yeah, there's
I
always
think about like the retro games, and I literally remember so vividly going down to the basement in my like childhood home. My brother had his N64 and he'd like blow on the cartridges to try and get them in there to get them to work. And I'm like,
sound of happiness.
It's just something.
So did you see
that.
our cartridge cleaners on the counter?
I did, yeah.
I don't know why they didn't think of that as kids. They would have saved a lot of brain cells.
Because
when you're blowing in that thing forever,
you go a little
and then
lightheaded.
and you come back and you get lightheaded.
You're like,
so many brain cells just killed.
So somebody else is gonna have to do this.
And that was, just a cotton swab, but on a little cartridge cleaner. And it's like such a simple design, but we never had it as kids.
Never thought about that.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know who did it, but it was $1 million idea.
Oh,
$1 million idea about
just
a
little
too
late.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just a little too late.
But then again, with the retro, that retro market still being, especially now, I feel like making that even come back now again.
People are big on it.
Probably just doing just as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the mall, when I first moved in, I was trying to keep that like where my standees are.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to keep that all open, but they didn't want me to though. So I guess they're big on like
the mall
cover. Yeah,
really?
So the mall has they got rules out.
Really,
they got lots of rules.
I didn't know that. I didn't know the mall was like that involved with like the actual stores within the mall.
So whenever you go to the stores, so most of them you can't see inside through the glass. So they all have some kind of like displays.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do that because I had my console wall right there. You know what I mean? So I wanted them to look through and see all the consoles.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why I have the standees.
You have like the boxes that say these are just display only, so you can see all the different consoles you have.
Yeah. So that they love because it covers full screen right across the window.
Mm-hmm.
But even the standees, they're kind of like it was a little back and forth to get them to agree to that because it was still like too visible.
Wow.
Yeah, they like it to be. So that's why I have the big Retroaholics banner. I had to have that made so that way you couldn't see like up above.
And they just wanted to.
Yeah, they want advertisements in front of the windows covered.
I think it's more also driven to have people walk into the stores.
Yeah.
True. They want to keep the foot traffic. They want to keep people in there. Makes sense.
I can understand it for all the other stores, because none of the other stores are going to have stuff that's just like eye-catching, like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I mean? It's like I have an original NES in box right there by the window, and I'm like that's my eye catcher that's going to bring people in.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, cover all that up. Cover the window up. So.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I actually never knew that like the mall would just be so strict. Like, do you ever feel like, man, I wish I hadn't moved to the mall because it's so stricter? Worth it? The mall's worth it?
Oh, yeah. Belden Village is...
hopping?
Very, very hopping.
Oh, yeah, that's
they
good.
Are,
especially during the
they're one of the best malls in the area.
Yes,
I grew up next to Chapel Hill up in Akron. I don't know if you've heard much about Chapel Hill, but it's now done since closed.
Well, I had Carnation Mall in Alliance next to me. So, I grew up going there, and we had Taz's Gaming in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they were full all the time.
Yeah.
So, they were probably the last, like...
surviving.
Yeah, the last, because there was Claire's right there, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
Claire's is still around, but they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not huge.
That's crazy.
But yeah, Taz's was massive.
Yeah.
I know in Mansfield where I grew up, like the Richland Mall, and I used to work in the GameStop inside that mall. Then you go in there now, there's like one retro-ish game store, and then like the whole mall's pretty much a hospital bought it.
Yeah.
Like
so
it was so weird when we went to
you guys have two malls right there, don't you? One in Mansfield and then one in Marion?
Marion's about 45 minutes away.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is Rachel from Marion?
Yeah.
Okay. Our good friend Rachel, not me, Rachel. We have a buddy who actually married a Rachel, which makes it complicated. It makes it sound like I talk about myself in the third person. But
you do that quite a bit.
No, I don't. I might actually. You might have something.
Rachel doesn't do that.
No, but I remember walking through the Richland Mall when we first started dating. So this was like a decade ago, to be fair. And there was like maybe 10 stores in there.
Oh yeah.
And I used to walk in there, and I'm
you
like,
talk about rules there was like no rules.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's like one rule, you must wear a shirt kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I had wished it was my job to work at that GameStop because it was like you didn't see a soul.
Well, we did and we didn't. You know what I mean? Especially like in the malls, obviously you have a different perspective because that mall is a thriving mall, and at the time where the Richmond Mall was
not thriving,
it's still around, but there's still a couple stores in there now. But like I think they're trying to make like that comeback, which
Mhm.
hopefully they do. But like,
so they're still trying to stay a mall.
Yeah,
Oh,
half
okay.
it's a mall and half it's like a hospital. It's weird.
Well, they give amazing deals when they're at that spot.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're
That's
real. They're
give
real
it away.
negotiable.
Yeah, they'll
But
give
like
it away
at
for
one
something
point
good.
in the GameStop that I worked at, we were the number 2, like in the company for collectibles. Like we didn't sell a lot of games. Like we sold games and stuff, here and there. But like we were a really big collectible store, which, as we talked about, that's become a lot of probably why I love collecting things, because we had a lot of cool collectibles, and that doesn't, especially when they got ordered the retro games for a while, we getting those. I was like, I'm just gonna buy that. That's did not help. My bank account did not like that.
So our Belden GameStop, I heard, actually went retro. So now they're doing PS1, PS2,
Really?
old Xbox.
I didn't know
Xbox
that was a
360.
thing.
It was like ebbs and flows.
It's like a new thing now.
Okay.
So it's per manager.
Do they get a special logo to the GameStop, or is it just
No,
it's
I
gonna
think
look
it's
like
normal.
GameStop, but when you go
Yep, they
inside,
just-
it's different?
Yep,
stuff
they
in
just
there?
know of it as, so it's per manager. So if the manager doesn't know a ton about it, he can kind of like agree or disagree to it.
That's kind of
but,
cool, honestly.
I think that one's is it Max? I think it's Max Mock. He runs that one, and he is real. He comes to the store all the time. He's a real,
Loves checking out
loves
the
retro
merchandise over
so
there.
he's all about it. So I mean, as soon
That's
as
cool.
as soon as they brought it up, he was
All
gung ho
about
about it.
it.
So
Yeah.
he, because you get some of them whenever they first started doing it. So like the Facebook pages that are out there.
Yeah.
There was a couple Facebook pages where they were talking about GameStop, you know what I mean? And they were like,
Mm-hmm.
this was a bad idea for them to do retro. Because, like, some of the managers think they know what they're doing,
But they don't.
But they're
but
not
they don't.
really.
And the
Oh.
one was really iconic. It was a picture of Pokemon Leaf Green for Game Boy Advance. And it was a gray cartridge. And it was like, what? Like, how do you not know that's not a fake?
Right.
It's supposed to be a green cartridge. It's Leaf Green.
Right.
And it was just a gray cartridge, but it was the price of what Leaf Green would be as market value. And I was like, that
So if
one,
you know your
that one
stuff,
should have the
you know
rights
your
taken away.
stuff.
That one's not.
Yeah.
That's not any good.
So how do you kind of navigate that where you have like potentially like
Yeah,
a store
retro
like that,
GameStop
and then
with
you
in
guys
there.
are doing retro? Do you guys work like I'm obviously like not a collaboration, but like how do you kind of navigate that?
I don't really navigate with Max too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just one of those things where it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think that
because we have the exchange there too, so I mean,
Right.
it's just like a trio at this point.
Oh yeah,
The exchange,
yeah.
that parking lot, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like there's enough of a market around, at least in
Oh,
this
for sure.
area. I feel like, I mean, like he would go out with his buddies all the time, hitting every exchange in the area, looking for one specific thing or something
Yeah.
like that. So I mean, like if you're looking for something,
I've done
you're
that
gonna
with
go anywhere.
like mom and pops. So
Yeah.
I try not to do it with like big court, you know what I mean, like GameStop
Yeah.
exchange. But you know what I mean, there's a guy that started, he's about a year and a half in or so, called Duck Duck Games.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he is, you know what I mean, I'll send
He
people
has
his way.
he has one up in Mineral Falls, right?
Yeah, yep, Monroe Falls.
Mm,
So yep,
where is
he
that? In-
It's right across the street from the McDonald's that's by the
Oh,
train
on the way
tracks.
to Jimmy's, and you were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that looks interesting. We should stop in." That
So yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
plenty far enough away from me that, you know what I mean,
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
like direct competition.
Yeah.
So I'll
If you're like, if I don't have it, maybe this guy will, type
Yeah.
of thing.
and then he was doing the same thing when I was at Acme. I actually had a couple people coming in because he had sold out of N64s. So he was sending people my
Oh.
way, you know what I mean? Because he didn't have them. He's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
go check Retroaholics. Maybe they have them."
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
yeah, so I mean, we try to go back and forth a little bit. But yeah, the big
That's nice.
corporations, I don't really.
Yeah, I see
They
it
make
as
enough.
like,
They make
Oh,
enough
yeah.
money.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what people don't realize. Like big corporations, they have so much backing behind them.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's like the people like us who are really building from
Yeah.
like just us. That's really where you should put your time and effort and money in. So I mean, most people know this when we say shop local,
Yeah.
but what people don't realize is like just support your local businesses. Like I know that I'm saying that with the fact that like we're in Walmarts, we're in those stores, and supermarkets and Giant Eagles and stuff. And I love our relationship with all our distributors that put us in those stores. But really what I love is like when my customers come to my retail shop and they're telling me about how their parents used to buy Arnold's candies when they were in school, and it like is so nostalgic for them. Like that's what I love the most, like the value in those customers and those people just coming in off the street and they're like, I didn't realize you were still here. 55 years ago, my grandpa was selling this peanut brittle for baseball or something, you know, and it's just like my absolute favorite when I hear about them because they're seeing your history in a different way. Like I'm 28 years old. I wasn't here 50 years ago, but I own a company that's 72 years old. So I'm like that other 50 years, I want to hear more about it. I want to know more about it, you know? And so that's what I love is just like those customers that are just coming in off the street.
I'm sure you get a lot of those kind of stories. Do you get a lot of those stories of people telling you like,
I remember playing this game as a kid or something.
Games.
Oh, yeah. So like, the nostalgia of like, so not an actual store, but like, they come in. Because I mean, I mean, you get some of the older parents, you know what I mean, that had their kids like mid-30s.
Yeah.
So they're coming in and they're like, oh my gosh, I remember this Atari right here, but their kid's only like 5 years old.
Right.
So you get those ones, and I mean, they're just like looking through I remember I had this and I had this. And the one I love is whenever you get the stories of people that played N64, but they were like older, like, you know what I mean, like high school or like early college.
Yeah.
So there was one, I remember this dad, he owned a gun store, and his kid came to the store one day, and he was, you know what I mean, like early or like late teens, you know what I mean, so he was driving, and then he had his dad come in, and his dad just like fell in love. He's never collected anything vintage before.
That's
just
awesome.
Came in, he bought an N64, like 10 games, and then he starts going down like memory road, and he's like, he's like
getting it all.
I was like a sophomore in college when GoldenEye came out, and he's talking about how he used to get like trash drunk with his buddies. I'm like, what? I'm like, I was like 5 years old.
What a life that would be, though. Like, imagine living up in like not N64's like prime, and you're in college, and like you just got your buddies over.
I can only imagine like Mario Party while
life.
you're drunk.
Oh yeah. Now
my
Mario
gosh.
Party just ruins friendships. And
We're about to break out the retro
there's
games
some great like
this weekend.
N64 had all the best like 4-player games.
Oh, absolutely.
To where if I was older and like legal age to drink when that came out, oh my gosh, I couldn't even imagine.
It's one of those things where it's like, I mean, GameCube did a pretty good job at it. I would say like N64 and GameCube were like the tail end of like truly
the retro
like
days.
Couch co-op games.
Yes.
Because from then they started pushing more towards, you know, like obviously 360 or the original Xbox kind of started the Xbox Live, and then you had PlayStation Plus.
You weren't going to friends' houses no more.
And then you just we'll play online with the headset. And then you didn't have to go to those houses anymore. Because I remember at least, you know, growing up, we would just do the same thing of like 3-4 people bring a TV and the console or whatever. You just set it up in the basement, and
he acts like this was a long time ago, but when we were first living together,
I had
your buddies,
then too.
his college buddies, would still literally. Nate, if you're listening to this, I'm thinking about you when I say this. He would literally drive his giant flat screen TV to our apartment
because like in college,
and set it up with like his own.
Yeah, because like in college he lives like he was from like the middle of Michigan, so it was like 4 or 5 hours for him to get home. So if we had like a shorter break, like a fall break, whatever, and I was living off campus, he would just come to our apartment, stay with us, and he'd just bring his TV, set it up, and then we just
they'd be in the living room with
side by side playing the same game on 2 different
TVs,
you know, like playing together, but like not having to be on mic, which is like just kind of really threw it back.
Yeah.
So my uncle is one of the co-owners of Stone Age Gamer in Salem, Ohio. So they're like one of the biggest online distributors of video game stuff.
That's so cool.
So when I grew up, you know what I mean? He's been in it his whole life. So he's probably 15 years older than me or so. So him and his buddies would do like LAN parties, and then I was like the 12-year-old just getting like I'd be able to go with them.
That's
and I mean
so cool.
we'd pay like $10, and his buddy had like a 4-car garage, this massive garage. And he would just bring out 8-foot tables, and he had all the like power cords strung from the ceiling.
Literally the perfect setup.
We would game for like 16 hours.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, we'd all just be LAN. There'd be no internet.
Snacks.
We'd all just be LAN. We'd do old Call of Duty. We'd do like 8-on-8, and it would just be.
That's what we did. Like the old.
His wife would bring us
was
subs.
it the old Halo? that wasn't quite Fire Team. It might have been Fire Team, but like the LAN party Halos where you had like
Yes.
just all the maps are there, and it's just like everyone do 5v5 or 4v4, and then just go into the maps.
Smallest maps, but it was just so much fun.
And it's just like jam packed of like, and then this the members just trash talking the people who are sitting right there.
Yeah,
you just kill them like, yeah, you.
Oh yeah,
I see you.
They're screen peeking. Oh yeah, you always had to get on them.
Right, you're like, how do you know I'm there? They're like,
especially you're in a small space to where they could just like look over
just
like
see
3
where
inches
you're
and
sitting.
just look right at your screen and be like, oh, he's
and I had an
camping
older
right there.
brother, so the time would like back in the day we play those games, whatever, it'd be split screen.
Yeah,
And
split
then-
screen is the worst.
Oh yeah,
Golden eye, and you're just like,
would-
oh yeah, they
I
know
would-
exactly where you are.
I don't know if he listens to this or not, but I 100% he knows I did.
Derek?
Oh yeah, I would like. I see like,
Screen
where's he
peek.
at? I'd look at it and he'd be like, "You looking?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." Run around
yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm doing it."
Deny it. Totally. They die probably.
You're like sneaking up on him.
Yeah,
and
like
then he
my-
looks at your screen and he's like, oh crap, he's right behind me.
Right.
Yeah.
Older brother, you got to
Your
make
poor
sure you
mom
win.
having to deal with the two of you arguing over video games. Like there's
Fist
one
fights,
story
man.
that I've heard over the years. It literally every single time his brother is in tears when they talk about it is something about, or is it you who is in tears when they
yeah.
talk about it with the Wii remote?
So when like the Wii kind of first came out, they have like the little motion controls where they're like, please put your wristband
that
on.
strap.
Yeah.
So
Like,
we
please
were
for all
playing
things.
like he was playing the Wii and like we like just got it, and like Wii Sports was playing Wii Sports whatever, and he's doing like the Wii Sports tennis.
Mhm.
He's like grunting like he's actually like playing real tennis.
No,
He's like
Derek is like
Serena
one of those
Williams
people where
almost
he's
grunting.
funny
Like, you're
about
like, why
it.
is-
Yeah,
why are
he's
you
not
doing
like
this?
joking. Like he's not trying to grunt to be serious. He's like grunting to be funny. So I can only imagine. Like I see it playing out in my head.
And
knowing
he
that.
would do like the overhand, the backhand, the one he comes with the backhand, slips out of his hand, it flies through the living room,
Didn't have the
smacks
strap
the
on.
wall, the controller. I mean, 3 hours after my mom bought this, controller just explodes.
And I'm pretty sure
I
she
am-
had just yelled at you guys.
She
to, like,
she's telling Derek like, stop! You can keep messing around. You're gonna break it. Immediately does it. I am in tears, just like crying, laughing, and she's like she's so mad, but she's also like, it's so
How do you not laugh
ridiculous
at
that she
that?
starts
Oh, yeah.
laughing
Yeah.
too. And from that moment, it's just there's no seriousness left, and it's
I mean, she could probably hear the
Oh.
grunting, so she's just
Oh,
like, I saw
yeah.
this coming. Like,
absolutely
this
Not
isn't-
only
this isn't a
that,
surprise
yeah.
at all.
No.
You guys were down here
Yeah.
full on grunting.
Oh,
she
yeah.
should have
This
seen it
game.
coming just knowing the boys
Oh,
because
I'm sure,
like
I'm sure she did.
raising them, I can only imagine. Like I think about it all the time when I'm like with my son and he's like a lot. I'm like, literally, how did your mom do this by herself? Like with two of you? Because our son is so similar to him. Like they do wrestling moves on the couch, like all kinds of crazy shenanigans stuff. And I'm just like, how did your mom survive it? I don't know.
She's a saint.
Yeah,
She's
the
got
two and
patience
your
for
4-year-old are-
miles.
Yeah, I'd say that's me
Yeah,
and my brother
they're-
23 months apart, so we're kind of like that same thing of that 2-year gap is.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, the 4-year-old, he's a lot just because he wants to be a parent so bad.
Oh
You know, I mean,
yeah.
since he's 2 years older, a little over 2
Yes, the-
years.
It's like I know
the
best.
rules.
Oh,
These are
yeah.
the rules.
he
We
comes
follow
running and
these
he's like,
rules.
Dad, baby. I'm like, what's
Baby's
he
doing
doing now?
something wrong.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, well, don't tell him to stop.
Yeah, that'll
And then he
do.
goes out there, and I mean, he's like screaming out.
Stop
It's like, oh yeah,
doing
he doesn't. Oh,
this.
he's not nice about it. He's like freaking out on him. Like, you're the worst parent, dude. Like you're gonna
You
like,
can't just go in there and
you're
start
gonna be
screaming.
terrible
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
You need to learn some patience.
You gotta
Holy
learn
cow.
to be calm, but
Oh yeah, I mean, he picks
Yeah.
up one thing, and he's just immediately running. Dad, baby.
that's so
Just
awesome.
tells on him every time.
I wish Grayson and our dogs like
A little different, but yeah.
they join up on us, I think.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
all the time. Like toy
There's
like our
nobody
dogs
stopping him for not
don't
paying
touch
attention.
his stuff. And just recently we had like a Bluey set and Coco, the pink
Mhm.
poodle. And my sweet son, he just loves Coco for some reason. He's like learning
Coco's kinda
colors.
selfish.
I know
Yeah,
it. I
Coco's
know
pretty
it.
Selfish.
I think he
Oh,
likes
yeah.
saying her name, and I think
They
he
like-
loves the color, like the pink being so
The
vibrant.
bright, vibrant color.
So he
yeah.
would like carry Coco around recently, and so we just the other day I walk into our room and like our dogs do not touch his stuff.
No,
They,
they're
there
good
could
about it.
be his stuff everywhere all over the living room, and they will know this is my bone. I chew on this. Like, they are the best dogs. But he must have handed Coco to one of them because Coco was obliterated by our golden retriever. I walked in there and I was like, oh no. Oh no.
I watch way too much Bluey because I knew exactly who that was.
Mm-hmm.
And like the episode.
We can name them all.
Oh my god.
All the parents who have kids probably younger.
So my
6 or younger is they know it.
The equivalent of
Muffin.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't think of the name at first. Yeah,
Muffin.
my 4-year-old is Muffin.
Oh
like,
my goodness.
The 2-year-old tries to play with a toy and he's like, "That's mine." He starts freaking out. Oh yeah.
He's like, "I didn't want this toy."
Yeah, he is.
He's
bad.
The Muffin.
Shorts.
The one that is the shorts, but also the one that where Muffin does a toy reviews is the
I don't know if you've ever seen those. They're not like actual Bluey episodes. They're like
the
Bluey shorts or something.
And
mini
that's like
episodes.
the perfect description of it's like.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. It's so fun.
Is that the? So I know there's the one when Bluey and Bingo are doing like the FaceTime with them. And he's throwing the cowboy hat. He's like, "No, cowboy hat."
Yeah.
He's like, "You're giving it to your little brother," and he's like, "No."
You've got to
and then he starts running through the house, and oh my gosh, I'm like that. I'm that dad right there. I'm like, strict, like give it to your brother.
Yes.
And then,
and then like, Uncle Stripe is chasing after Muffin or whatever. This is a little not PG-13, but it's like one of the like low key jokes in Bluey that makes it hilarious for parents when. Bandit walks up behind Bluey and Bingo and he's like, "What's Uncle Stripe doing?" And Bluey goes, "He's chasing Muffin." and Bandit just goes, "Sounds like Uncle Stripe." Just walks away. I'm like, that's such a good hidden joke in there. Like, Bluey's just perfect for like parents and kids.
Yeah, it is.
It's so great.
Because then, I mean, Bandit's just like, he's like, "Go Muffin, go Muffin." He's like encouraging him to like keep being terrible and running away. He's like, "Dad, don't tell him that." And he's like, "Yeah, go Muffin."
It's such a good show. But, well, do you want to plug anything before we finish things up over here?
Nope, not
no
really.
Special events. Just go check out Retroaholics. Give them a look.
Our locations, it's not small. It's too small for special events. I mean, you guys have been in there.
Yeah.
I try to fill it out as best as I possibly can. So I mean,
I love it in there. It looks good.
Inside Belden Village Mall, Retroaholics is in there.
Yeah, give them a look.
Go check it out. Especially any type of retro gaming, they got it. And 64s, they got a good collection there. So
yeah, give them a good visit and let them know you came from us if you do watch this and it inspires you to go. But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll have you on in the future too when you maybe get a second location and stuff like that. So
next time you guys come in the store, let us know and we'll give you some swag.
Sweet. Love that, especially if it looks like that looks awesome.
Oh yeah. So all the rest of my shirts are large. So they all fit me. That was the one-off for
just special.
I mean, we got keychains and decals, and they're just collecting dust.
Yeah,
we used to do my old point of sale. We used to be able to do like rewards.
So
as points would collect, they'd be like, okay, you hit a keychain now, and then you hit a tumbler, and
we'll definitely be coming in for some cool stuff.
I can't do that anymore, so now it's all just sitting in the back.
Oh yeah, we'll be in there for some of that. I love a good keychain.
Yeah, man. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you so much. We were really happy to have you, and make sure you guys check them out. And that's a wrap.